Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the County of Monterey's Wednesday news briefing. My name is Nick Pasculi, County Communications Director for the County of Monterey and Chief Public Information Officer for this incident. I'm happy that you chose to join us this afternoon to get the latest update on the situation out here in Moss Landing. As you know, this incident started on Thursday afternoon at approximately 3 p.m., and there's been a tremendous amount of activity out in Moss Landing since the beginning of this incident. One of the things that's important to note is that the county has deployed its full resources, including our partnerships with other agencies, and most importantly, our firefighters. And with that, I want to introduce Chief Joel Mendoza, who is the incident commander here at the Incident Command Post in Moss Landing. Good afternoon, Joel, and welcome to the briefing.
Thank you, Nick. Good afternoon.
Great. And so why don't you give us an update where we're at right now with this incident and what the plans are going forward?
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Nick. So I can tell you, and I'm happy to report that conditions are stable. Obviously, this was a huge event. We know that the majority of the batteries within the building were either burnt or compromised. And so there's still, a large, or I should say, a long road ahead of us, right, in which we are looking at these things as priorities, right? First, we're looking to see that the building is stabilized, right? And then we're looking to see that there's cleanup that needs to happen. At this point, I'm happy to report that the last time that we saw any smoke and flame was Saturday for flame, and then a little bit of smoke on Sunday. So again, very stable situation. However, we are prepared to upgrade this if we need to. And I think it's important for the public to know that one, that we're prepared, and two, that there's always the possibility for reignition. And it could be one battery module, it could be a battery rack, or it could be a set of racks. I don't want to give the public the sense that, this incident is done by any means. But what I would like to do is reassure the public that the fire department, the county of Monterey, and all the resources, including state and local, that assisted with the incident have not gone away. We're still here. We're still part of the incident. And, we are prepared to act if we do have a flare-up, for example. We're ready to mobilize. And, I also want to say that I'd like to thank the community itself and the County of Monterey, state, federal agencies for assisting law and fire during this very large incident. Thank you for that. And I can answer questions as we move along.
That's great. Thank you, Chief Mendoza. In fact, what we're going to do today is we're going to take questions after each speaker, and we will ask for questions at the end as well, just in case somebody has something to add. But at this particular point in time, I'd like to invite the media to raise their hand to be recognized, and then you'll be prompted to go ahead and ask your question. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Okay, I'm not seeing. Or you can put it in the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself. Okay, not seeing any questions for you, Chief, but if you could stay on with us and just kind of leave your camera on for us so we can, in case somebody does have a question, we can go right back to you.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, great. So thank you so much for that update. And of course, on behalf of the County of Monterey, we are very, very grateful, Chief, for your leadership and for your entire team and all the firefighters and first responders that helped us in this incident. Next, we're going to move to Brad Watson. Brad is with Vistra, and Brad is going to give us a status update on the plant, the inspections that are taking place thus far, and what the next steps are for Vistra. Welcome to the briefing, Brad.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nick. Thanks for the opportunity and the invitation to participate today. We appreciate it. As Nick said, hello, everybody. As Nick said, I want to give you kind of an overview now where we are at the moment today. Conditions at the site remain stable. There continues to be a limited amount of smoldering, as the chief referenced, at the Moss Landing 300 location. And it's been that way over the past 24 hours, which is consistent with the previous conditions. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has concluded community air monitoring operations after their testing determined there to be no risk to the public. On-site and roaming community monitoring continues daily by CTEH. That's the third-party independent expert that has been doing monitoring at the site since early on Friday morning. Our priorities moving forward are safely removing the remaining batteries from the building when conditions permit. We have retained a structural engineering firm to advise with this work, and planning is currently underway. We have begun our investigation, and we have retained multiple outside experts to assist, and we're prepared to cooperate with any local or state investigations as well. Representatives of LG Chem, the manufacturer of the batteries used at Moss Landing 300, are also on location now, and we're sharing information. Crews will continue monitoring the site in coordination with local fire officials, and we will continue to provide updates to the community and local response partners as we progress. And finally, we are continuing to update our incident website, mosslandingresponse.com, www.mosslandingresponse.com. We encourage anyone with questions to visit the site for the latest information. We are updating it daily and sometimes multiple times. All of the air monitoring reports are posted there, plus some other background information. It's a dynamic site, and we will be adding on as needed as we go forward. So thank you for the opportunity again, Nick, to participate, and I will toss it back to you for now.
All right, great. Thank you, Brad, for that update. And again, I want to invite any of our members of the media on the call today to raise their hand and be recognized if you have any questions. All right, we have 2 questions, and actually we have 4 now in chat, it looks like. All right, so let me go to the first one. So the first one is, when will you provide updates on that investigation?
The investigation regarding which part? About the cause? We've got multiple work streams here with the building integrity and batteries to remove and so forth. So it could be a little more specific.
I would say, Brad, just kind of look at it generally, you know, building, batteries, facility, et cetera, just to give our viewers a
Sure.
clear picture overview
Right.
of what the steps are.
Okay. We'll be providing those updates as needed, and certainly as we get progress reports. Again, mosslandingresponse.com is going to be the place to go to get these updates. We have been doing daily updates during the response here in the initial days, and we will continue to provide those updates. I don't know what the cadence will be, but yes, we're going to be updating the community, the various regulatory agencies, the counties, and the public along the way.
Okay, Brad. Another question, Brad, with regard to the recovery and cleanup of the site, are water and soil samples going to be tested?
Are they going to be tested at the site?
That's correct.
And all the water is being contained at the site right now. We don't, well, I believe that we will be testing soil in the area if there are indications around the site that there might be some compounds or constituents that we think need to be tested. So there might be some soil testing there.
Okay, great. We have another question. This is from Paul Rogers, a reporter up in the Bay Area. When is Vistra planning to restart the rest of the battery storage facility? The Board of Supervisors asked yesterday that you not start it again until the causes of the fire were determined and addressed.
Well, we're focused, first of all, on Moss 300 and that building, and the priorities of also trying to get the batteries out and what's going to be our plan to try to resolve that site. That's why we have the engineering firm there. As far as the other assets at that site, we do have Moss 100, which is a 100 megawatt battery facility, and also Moss 350. We also have the Moss Landing power plant, which is a combined cycle natural gas plant there. As far as the 2 battery phases there. We are going to be very methodical in reviewing when those might be opened up again. So we need to get into that site first and do a full examination of the equipment on the site. As you can imagine, there's a lot of equipment there that was exposed to radiant heat and other conditions. So we need to get in there and find what those are. We're not going to be under any rush to resume operations with the other batteries. We want the investigation that is ahead to inform decisions there. Yes, we certainly heard Supervisor Church and the resolution yesterday by the rest of the board. So we hear those concerns. So we're going to be really methodical after we get in there and start examining the site. I will say that ahead of that, we want to look at a process sooner, we hope, to get the gas plant started. The gas plant is a technology that is totally unrelated to the batteries. It does share the site, but it is a generation. It's electrical generation. So, and it's 1,020 megawatts. So that's about 765,000 homes daily that are powered by that plant. So we will want to look at sooner what it takes to get the plant online safely when the time comes.
Okay, great. So, and I just want to, there's a follow-up question from Danya Romero from KON, local CBS affiliate. Assumably, part of your reporting out and back to the community will be what the cause of the fire was. Is that a correct assumption? And how it started?
Yes, certainly. We will share that.
And you'll make that part of the report.
We will share the root cause once we have it. That will be consistent with a couple of other events that we've had in 2021 and 2022 when we shared what the causes were and posted them on our website and took questions about them. Sure.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question to follow up on the incident itself is with regard to the fire suppression system. And was it bypassed? And if so, why?
That's what we want to find out. We don't know what happened yet. And that's what we want to determine through our root cause analysis. It will be thorough. It will be methodical. It will be detailed. It's going to take some time. And we want to know exactly what happened.
Great. And then last question with regard to the incident itself. Given what happened on Thursday afternoon, the assumption is that Vistra will look at revising its emergency response plan for a scenario like this or worse. Is that a fair assumption?
The emergency response plan that we have submitted to the county back in 2022, and I might add that predates SB 38. Our plan was informed with consultation by Monterey County, Chief Mendoza, other agencies. So that emergency response plan has been on file with these agencies since 2022, well before SB 38 was passed and signed by Governor Newsom in the later half of 2023. That is a dynamic document. It can be changed, and certainly, as we go forward, we'll want to look at revisions and what needs to be added to it. Sure.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to move on to our next speakers, and the subject we're going to be covering right now is more information about air quality information, community concerns, including health concerns. And with us today is Rick Encarnacion, the director of the County of Monterey's Environmental Health Bureau, and Amy Clymo, the engineer and compliance manager with MBARD. Welcome, Rick and Amy. And Rick, why don't we get started with you and what environmental health plans are in addressing community concerns and air quality and health related issues, such as what one of the questions in the chat has been about people talking about metallic tastes and things of that nature.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everybody. Rick Encarnacion, Director of Environmental Health for the County of Monterey. First of all, we just like the public to know that we're here for you. We are your local health inspectors. And right off the bat, when the incident occurred, we initiated all the protocols to ensure that there was monitoring. We made a call out and had assistance from the US EPA, as well as Brad's team from Vistra conducted immediate monitoring. And like what Chief Mendoza said and Brad mentioned, we're happy to report our monitoring has shown that it's a safe environment right now. But also, as Chief Mendoza reported, please be vigilant and listen to any updates or reports. But right now, our readings have shown 0 to very, very low instances of HF or particulates. What we want also the public to know is that we're not done. We're still here to assess if any long-term impacts, if there's any. So with that, we're in consultation with our state, our disaster recovery and health partners, so that we can have informed decisions on to do a really good, proper soil and water monitoring and testing plan. So we'd also like the public to know to stay informed, listen to any directions, and if there's any updates and if there's any concerns, please reach out to us. And with that, if I believe Amy.
Yep. I'm going to go hand it off to Amy, and Amy, if you can just give us some perspective from MBARD's point of view, and you know, obviously MBARD's been very involved in this incident from the beginning, and has an interest in seeing that the air quality in our county remains good for all our residents. And so where do we go from here?
Hi, thank you so much for having us. Richard Stedman wasn't able to attend today, so I'm here. So we continue to monitor fine particulate matter, which is called PM 2.5. And this is what we use as an indicator of smoke in the air. And the sensors located closest to Moss Landing are at schools, and they're in Castroville, Watsonville, Prunedale, and Aromas. And those trends continue to show good to moderate ranges. And this also reflects our entire air monitoring network in all 3 counties of Santa Cruz, San Benito, and Monterey. We're seeing that good to moderate range. And what that means is that the concentrations of that particulate matter in the air is below the state and federal standards. And so from our perspective, we are not seeing any health-based impacts from our monitoring network for particulate matter, which is an indicator of smoke in the air. And that's what we can measure. We don't have instruments that measure hydrogen fluoride or HF.
Oh, great. And you know, looking forward, obviously it's something that your agency is interested in, correct?
Yes. Yes, I think Richard will probably continue to have conversations with Vistra Energy and see if we may need to install additional sensors, you know, beef up our network to assist with providing data in the future. And, you know, our sensors have been in place well before this incident started, and they'll continue to be in place after.
Great, thank you, Amy. And Rick, to go back to you for a second, and you know, one of the questions in the chat from Elena was regarding that metallic taste, and of course, we're always advising, our health department is advising, if people are not feeling well for whatever reason, they should seek medical attention. Would you have anything else to add to that?
No, that is the primary message to say from the health department. If you are feeling any symptoms, please see your physician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm the health inspector. But yes, if there are symptoms, please see your medical provider.
Great.
And that's the same message we've been telling people here at the Air District.
Absolutely. And of course, Danya Romero put the comment in the chat again about health concerns. And, you know, if people have health concerns, they need to seek medical attention. And of course, you know, all the hospitals and doctors in the area are aware of the situation that's happened here in Moss Landing. And so they report back to the health department if they're seeing any anomalies. Is that correct, Rick? Yes,
that's correct. There's this kind of like a surveillance system where the public health department, our public health bureau, under Dr. Moreno and Assistant Director Christine Michi, they conduct surveillance on the chief complaints of patients around town when they see their medical provider. And if there's any trends, that would inform us again to make decisions on on what to inform the public. Myself as a regulator of health codes, right now, as Brad mentioned, with the cleanup, we're also involved with that, making sure that state regulations are followed. With that, also with the scale of this event, I'd like the public to know that we're also working with our state partners, Cal EPA, the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, the Department of Toxic Substance Control. All of our partners are helping us make sure that we're doing the right thing.
And to add to that too, Rick, I mean, one of the things I think is important for the public to be aware of is that in an incident like this, the county stands up what's called the Joint Information Center. And we're in that Joint Information Center live here on location in Moss Landing doing this briefing. And in the Joint Information Center, we have representatives from all across the county and public health, the health department, medical community, et cetera. So the messaging that has being put out is informed messaging by these professionals.
Correct. That is correct. Yes, the Joint Information Center is a collaboration of many agencies, and I know I know the public when they're feeling concerned about not getting the message. And that's why, again, I'd like to emphasize, stay informed. And I'm really glad that we have forums like this so that we can reach out to the public and so the public can also reach back to us. I think there's another question here in the chat about trends.
Yeah.
And I think that would be more appropriate for public health to answer.
Yeah, so Paul, what we'll do is we don't have anyone from public health on this call today right now, but what I'll do, Paul, is I'll get you in contact if you could just reach out to me after this briefing. All right, and you know, one other point to make is that, you know, the information is shared and it's shared in as rapid a way as possible, and the county has posted a response incident response website on our county webpage. And so there's lots of information that's being added there on a regular basis. And so we would encourage folks to visit the county website. There's a yellow ribbon across the top of our website that'll take you directly to the incident page, which has resources. And some of those resources are provided by public health, as an example, our health department, environmental health, and other government agencies. So let's see, we have one more question in the chat with regard to sensors. Given issues with the county sensors, just to clarify, Juan, the county doesn't have sensors. The sensors are operated by other government agencies. So we do have someone on with the EPA that will give them a chance to speak, and then I'll ask the question. So moving to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, we're fortunate to have with us Paul Amato with their office up in the Bay Area, who was also here on site for a number of days. So Paul, welcome to the briefing. And can you just kind of give us a summary of the testing role and the demobilization? What, you know, obviously EPA must have a certain level of confidence in where we're at right now in this incident to demobilize. And if you could just kind of go over that with our audience today.
Sure. Thank you, Nick. And hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for your interest in this. I appreciate the public wanting to be kept informed of any potential risks to their health, and I appreciate the media's attention to this matter. I was, as Nick mentioned, the public information officer on site during this incident. Just a quick recap of EPA's involvement. Shortly after the fire began on Thursday, EPA was notified by Monterey County and asked to assist with air monitoring in the area. So within a matter of hours, we deployed EPA personnel as well as contractors and our mobile command unit, along with our air sensor equipment, and we're on scene pretty quickly after we were called. We then pretty quickly also set up 9 different monitoring stations in the area. 2 of those stations were set up at the fire. 4 of them were around the perimeter of the facility, and then we had 3 out in the community. The monitoring that we did at these fixed locations was intended to capture any exceedance or any any values that we were seeing for particulate matter or hydrogen fluoride, as you've already heard about. We looked at those parameters specifically because based on our experience with these kinds of fires from battery facilities, those are two major pollutants of concern. And so we set that monitoring network up to capture any changes in wind pattern and to make sure that we were capturing what the air quality looked like in and around the facility, with a primary focus on potential impacts during the fire to workers, first responders in the area, as well as to the surrounding communities. And I'll mention at that time, as you already heard, Vistra was also out doing mobile monitoring throughout the community. So we took, the good news is, as you've heard, based on the monitoring data that we collected, we were looking at 1 second intervals at our monitoring stations over the course of the time that we were out there. And we saw very little cause for concern, really no cause for concern, to be explicit. It was, continuous monitoring. We were ensuring that the incident command was informed of what we were seeing throughout. And then ultimately we were giving our data over to the Monterey County Department of Environmental Health, and as well as Cal OEHA. And as you've heard, based on their assessment and based on our monitoring, there were no exceedances at any time during this incident at any of the monitors for those two pollutants that we were monitoring for. So we were very fortunate. Because of that, and based on the improved conditions at the fire itself, we consulted with the incident command, and the determination was made that EPA resources were no longer needed on site. We did coordinate with Vistra and Vistra's contractor to install some stationary monitors at the locations where we had previously been monitoring, to ensure that there was consistency and to ensure that if there were any flare-ups at the site, that data would be collected and air monitoring would occur in those areas. So we ultimately deployed on Monday late afternoon, after spending a few hours waiting to make sure that Vistra and their contractors deployed monitoring stations were up and running properly. So while EPA is no longer on site conducting air monitoring, we are continuing to engage with the incident command, and we are available as a technical resource as needed. And so thank you for your time. I'm happy to try and entertain any questions that you have.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, very much. There is a question in the chat, and I'm not sure, this is the first time hearing about monitoring devices being offline, and I can only imagine that if any monitoring devices were offline, it's because they were being moved. Can you address that, or do you have any information about that?
I'm sorry, I need to pull up the chat, or maybe you could read the question for me.
The question was, please address the question about the potential impact of some monitoring devices being offline.
My understanding is that our monitoring stations were running continuously from the time they were set up. I can certainly talk to our technical folks to see if there were any gaps, but if there were any, and I'm sure they would have been very short. And given the data quality that we were seeing throughout the response, I find it highly likely that there would have been a cause for concern, but I'd have to follow up and see if that in fact did occur with any of EPA's monitors.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much. And we are, Elena, we are making note of the question. And when we hear back from Paul, either Maya, Carol, or myself will get that information to you. Juan Carlos Lara from KQED asked, given the issue with county sensors, and as I mentioned, Juan Carlos, the county doesn't have sensors. The sensors belong to, the air quality sensors belong to MBARD. The incident sensors belong to EPA as well as Vistra. Can you talk about the decision for EPA and their supplemental monitoring? How was that decision reached? I think Paul addressed that very well. Paul, did you have any other remarks you'd like to make with regard to EPA monitoring and the decision to disengage with the on-site testing?
to actually disengage. Yeah, I don't really have anything in addition to what I already provided.
Okay, great. We have a follow-up question from Elena from KZU. One of the data sets, not sure if it's Vistra or EPA, it said there was a sensor that was down due to a malfunction. Elena, we're just gonna have to get back to you on that. I don't have that information. And as Paul mentioned, he will get back to you. Brad from Vistra, do you have any knowledge of any malfunctioning sensors? Brad?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yes, we don't have any reports, Nick, of any malfunctioning sensors.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Elena, as I said, if we get information to the contrary, we will certainly pass that information along to you, and appreciate that. Appreciate your question. Okay, we're going to move on to agriculture and hospitality. Obviously, the agriculture industry as well as the hospitality industry was concerned about this incident. And with us today is Juan Hilgado, who is the County of Monterey Agricultural Commissioner. And I know Juan has been working tirelessly with representatives from the ag industry, including the Monterey County Farm Bureau and the Grower Shipper Association for the Central Coast, which is a large group of growers that cover a vast region, not just here in Monterey County, but all up and down the Central Coast of California. So I'd like to welcome Juan first to kind of talk about his engagement with the ag industry and how we're addressing that. And then we'll go to Rob O'Keefe, who's the president of SeeMonterey, SeeMonterey, formerly known as Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau, to talk about how we engaged with SeeMonterey and also how we're helping and working with the hospitality industry to ensure that the accurate and timely information is being sent to those folks. So Juan and Rob, welcome, and we'll go ahead and start with Juan.
Great. Thanks so much, Nick, for having me here. As mentioned earlier, Juan Hidalgo, I'm the County Agricultural Commissioner, and certainly, as Nick put it, as I've been in communication with our agricultural industry representatives in our area. As you can imagine, this event raised a few questions about the smoke and some of the impacts, and certainly a lot of questions about air monitoring, which, as you have all heard here today, it's really reassuring to know that the air quality has been safe for our communities and safe for any agricultural workers in the agricultural fields. And also the particulate matter, which is a question that I have been getting a lot from industry representatives. And I think it's really good to hear that, the particulate matter has been in the good to moderate range, which is something that I think we can expect to see given the weather and the time of year that we're in. And I think it was really reassuring to get the updates from the county and from the different agencies involved in doing the air monitoring to keep everybody up to date, especially clarifying what happens with particulate matter, which is something of concern with those particulates falling on the soil and creating impacts, right? And I think hearing that based on the type of weather and the dispersion of the fire, a lot of the particulate matter, as I understand it, never reached ground levels, which is something like that is really reassuring for not just our communities, but also for our agricultural growers. This is an ongoing event that my office will continue to remain engaged with our environmental health department as they work with different state agencies to continue to evaluate and assess the situation. This is something new that our ag industry hasn't seen or our communities hasn't seen to this extent in the past. So certainly there's a few things that I'm hoping that our county, working with state agencies, will be able to take a closer look at. But I think overall, it was really reassuring to see that the data and the monitoring shows that the risk, the air has been safe and the risk has been really low for our communities. I think I should also mention that we are in the middle of winter right now, even though it doesn't seem like it. But a lot of our agricultural operations are idle during this time of the year, so there's very little activity in the fields. Very few commodities are being harvested, and there's very limited numbers of agricultural workers out in agricultural areas as well.
Well, thank you, Juan. And you know, I also want to add too that Juan was part of our Joint Information Center. Just the other day, we had representatives from the ag industry out at the incident command post that were also part of the Joint Information Center. It's a priority for us at the county, as well as the Ag Commissioner's Office, to make sure the industry's informed. And so, Juan, I want to thank you and your team for all the work they're doing to of course, send information that we are distributing and getting it out into the industry. So thank you. Do we have any questions before I go to Rob O'Keefe with SeeMonterey? Do we have any questions for the Agricultural Commissioner? Not seeing any. All right, so I want to welcome Rob O'Keefe, who's the president of SeeMonterey, formerly the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Rob has been a partner with the county for a long time, his organization, and as well as having one of his own staff here on location as well, so that we can provide the hospitality industry accurate information and provide visitors with accurate information. Rob, welcome to the briefing. And why don't you talk about some of the things that take place with regard to hospitality and the engagement with regard to the joint information?
Yeah, thank you, Nick, and thank you, everybody. Again, my name is Rob O'Keefe. I'm the president and CEO of SeeMonterey. SeeMonterey is the tourism organization for the entire county. So we work with cities, the county, and everybody involved. And we get very involved when need be. In fact, Alyssa Rendon, our community relations director, was there at the JIC. When called upon, we are there. We also work very closely with the Monterey County Hospitality Association, whose focus is on our #2 industry as a county. So, so I appreciate the work that's been put in by the county supervisors and staff, the first responders, and everybody who's been involved in this crisis. I'll tell you a little bit about what we do in situations like this and what we did in this current situation. Within a couple of hours of the first reports of the fire on Thursday, SeeMonterey started to shift into what we call our crisis communications mode. And what that means, well, first of all, unfortunately, we're quite adept at crisis communication. The nature of nature in our destination demands that. So whether it's a wildfire, a slip out, or a situation with a fire-related public emergency such as this, a number of things kick into play. First, we begin collecting as much information as possible and maintain collaboration with the experts throughout the crisis. So for us, we don't just focus on travelers, although that's a primary focus for us. And at any given time, there are thousands of travelers in our destination and could be impacted by any given crisis, including this one. We also get a lot of residents who come to us for information. And again, we're a connector. So we connect people to the expert information that they need to know, whether they're traveling or they just want to have a resource for information. So what that looks like, immediately we posted a travel alert on the homepage of our website with information and links to expert information. We also posted information through our social channels. And within a couple of hours, we put a pause on any social promotion. So we're not promoting come to Monterey County for fun. We're promoting here's information you need to know relative to the situation that's taking place. And that's to county resources, it's to Caltrans, it's whoever has that expert information. We start to reach out to our hotel community. In a situation like this, we figured pretty early on that it could be an evacuation situation, and it turned out pretty quickly to be just that. So we notify our hotels of what's happening just to let them know. And then we followed up quickly to ask if any were interested in offering evacuee rates. And almost immediately we had over a dozen hotels raise their hand and said, we're happy to do that. And I was happy to hear that they had a couple dozen or more individuals and families take them up on those rates. So it's the hotel community stepping up. And for those people who needed the help, they provided it. And, you know, that's the hospitality industry of Monterey County. It's just who we are and what we do. So we continue to collaborate with the county, being a part of this. We're going to continue to stay in touch. I've heard loud and clear that, the situation bears further watching. I'm very happy to hear what's being reported in terms of air quality. Not only that it sounds like it's good, but that it's continuing to be monitored and these questions are being answered, because I think that's really important. We have 3 big groups coming in starting this weekend, 3 big conferences. They reached out to us on Friday asking, should we come? Is it safe? We connected them to the information that we had available to us. They make the judgment on their own, of course, but because of that information, the availability of it, and I think with what the county's doing to I guess err on the side of getting more information and making it more available, which I think is helpful to everybody. It also helped us with those groups, and I'm happy to say that they all showed up. Again, safety, public safety, and our residents and their quality of life is of paramount importance. But obviously, tourism and hospitality are big economic generators. So that kind of sums it up where I'm at, Nick, and I'm really appreciative personally as a resident and on behalf of my team to have this information as an individual and as an organization. So thank you, and to everyone else who's reporting out today.
And thank you, Rob, for your support in helping us get our messaging out. And of course, it's important to note that the county is, Monterey County is open for business. Tourism, come visit us. It's been a beautiful week, and it's going to be beautiful in the coming days. So we welcome you here.
Absolutely.
Right. So with that, that concludes all our speakers for today. I want to give the media an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have that you haven't asked. Again, important, if you need a follow-up by any way, please contact myself or Maya Carroll. We do have a email address that you can email. It's pr@countyofmonterey.gov. That's pr@countyofmonterey.gov. And there's at least 3 public information officers that monitor that email address. And we are very responsive and try to get back to people immediately. One thing I would like to note is that, every incident is different. Every incident has its own complexities, and we learn from every single incident what we can do better next time. And so these are things that we take very seriously and take the feedback from the community, from our partners, such as those that spoke today, in order to get better every single time. So I do want to thank all of our partners, and especially the first responders and our law enforcement partners, our fire partners, other agencies that came to support this effort for helping the County of Monterey provide a safe place for our residents. And so with that, if there's no other questions, I want to thank you all for attending this briefing this afternoon. We do have a briefing every Wednesday at noon. You're welcome to tune in. I am certain that this will be the subject in the coming weeks as well, and we will continue to keep you informed. Visit our website, countyofmonterey.gov, for up-to-date information on this incident. And certainly, we wish you a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.